It was a tense morning in DC, and while the House is out of session this week for reasons I will get to later, Attorney General Pam Bondi testified in front of the Senate Judiciary Committee this morning. And while she was grilled on a whole host of things, one of the core things she was grilled on by Democratic senators was the Epstein files. And that's what I want to talk to you about today. There have been a lot of updates on this front the past several days, so there's a lot to cover. But starting with her testimony this morning, senators held her feet to the fire and really put her on blast for her lack of transparency and her attempt to avoid, pointed questions about the Epstein files. Let's start with this clip of Senator Dick Durbin this morning.
Quarrel with you is to read somebody that you mentioned I never heard of.
Reid Hoffman.
So who gave the order to flag records related to President Trump?
To flag records for President Trump?
To flag any records which included his name.
I'm not going to discuss anything about that with you, Senator.
Eventually, you're going to have to answer for your conduct in this. You won't do it today, but eventually you will. I yield, Mr. Chairman.
I love what Durbin said here, which is that, she will be compelled to answer these questions eventually. And that is the pattern we see with the Epstein story. I think whenever there is another big story that's happening in the country, for example, the shutdown and this fight over healthcare, which is so important, eventually, though, the Epstein files find a way back into the fold because updates happen and there's so much news around this, and the administration's handling of it has been so bizarre and opaque that people always come back and say, hey, what is going on with the Epstein files? And so I think as much as the administration hopes that this issue can just go away because another big story pops up, I think we have seen time and again that is not going to happen. I want to play another exchange here that Senator Sheldon Whitehouse had with Bondi, where she tries this kind of classic GOP response and talking point that we've seen every time the Epstein files gets brought up. Let's take a look at that.
Correct me, Reid Hoffman, who was with Jeffrey Epstein on multiple occasions, and the senator sitting right next to you tried to block the flight logs from being released. Yet you're grilling me on President Trump and some photograph with Epstein? Come on.
The question is, did the FBI find those photographs that have been discussed publicly by a witness who claimed Jeffrey Epstein showed them to him? You don't know anything about that. Okay.
And what happened here was basically White House was asking Bondi if she had any information about basically these photos that were supposedly in Epstein's safe that had Donald Trump with naked underage girls. And she refused to answer it. And that is what she did time and again. And I think you see this pattern too of administration officials going, well, what about Democrats that could be on that list? You don't see any Democrats out there trying to defend that talking point. The Democrats have said it doesn't matter what their party affiliation is. If someone is implicated in the list, they should be investigated and held accountable if they were found to have done anything horrific. And you don't see Republicans saying the same thing. You see this distraction and equivocating and trying to point the finger at other people. It keeps happening time and again. And what's interesting too, is you have people like Mike Johnson out there who are saying, we're for all, we're all for accountability, and the president really cares about accountability. But we haven't really seen that from the president at all. He pretends like he has no idea who Jeffrey Epstein is, and that he doesn't know anything about the actual release of the Epstein files. And he's got Mike Johnson going on TV trying to back him up regardless. Let's see what Mike Johnson said over the weekend.
And you've got to be very careful to protect them. Government has a responsibility to protect victims who have already been harmed. But I'm for maximum disclosure. I want every page of this out. We have always been consistent in that. But we have to do both things. I do, absolutely. I do believe that. Donald Trump's not implicated in this. If he was, you'd have known about it a long time ago. He wants to protect the innocent victims. He and I have talked about this. He's very passionate about that. But he's for maximum disclosure, and his DOJ is shown that. They're turning everything over, and it's all coming out. So it's in process right now.
Well, it all comes to.
Well, Mike Johnson doesn't exactly seem to be for maximum disclosure, because if you remember what I said at the start of this video, the House is out of session this week. And it's not because Mike Johnson just wanted to give them a holiday and give them some time to talk with their constituents back home. Something happened recently that might be the reason Mike Johnson is trying to keep the House out of session. And that is the special election in Arizona that took place at the end of September, where Adelita Grijalva, a Democrat, was elected to fill her late father's seat in the House. Now she's come to Congress and Mike Johnson has refused to swear her in. Do you know why? Because she is the 218th vote to force the release of the Epstein files through this discharge petition in the House. Now, Mike Johnson keeps claiming that it has nothing to do with that, and he'll swear her in as soon as the House is back in session. But Grijalva had a pretty good breakdown of why that's pretty suspicious. Let's take a look at that.
When you are sworn in, do you intend to sign the discharge petition that would force a vote on the release of the Epstein files?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
So I would be 218. And that seems to, I mean, at first I was trying not to be a conspiracy theorist.
Yeah,
I'm like,
I
okay.
also have been the same. Like, maybe there's something I'm missing here.
Right. It doesn't have anything to do with these files, but that is literally the only thing I can point to. It's not like me getting sworn in is going to change, now the Democrats will be in the majority. I mean, there are certain things that are not going to change, where Democrats will still be in the minority. That is literally the only thing that is different in, me getting sworn in versus Representative Walkinshaw or Petronas or Fine. They were literally sworn in less than 24 hours after their election.
And that's the core point here. Democrats and Republicans, after a special election, Mike Johnson has sworn them in immediately. He is not doing that here. And as she pointed out, she doesn't change the math in the Congress in general when she gets sworn in. The only thing she changes the math on is becoming the vote to force the release of the Epstein files. So there are all these rumors that behind the scenes, Johnson and some other Republicans are trying to arm twist the GOP signers of this discharge petition to get them to back off so the Epstein files won't be released. However, Thomas Massie from Kentucky is leading that charge on the GOP side, and he says that the GOP signers of this discharge petition are very much locked in, and they are not going to change their vote. There were some other updates yesterday too. Ghislaine Maxwell's appeal for her case to the Supreme Court was denied, so her sentence and her verdict stands as it is. And they were trying to use that appeal to the Supreme Court as a way for her to have to not go testify in front of the House Oversight Committee. But with that changing yesterday, it looks like we might get a new piece in this, which it looks like she might be compelled to testify in front of the House Oversight Committee. Let's see what Congressman Robert Garcia had to say about that last night.
Well, she has an ability now to talk to the Oversight Committee and to share with us what actually happened during those horrific years and who all the men that were involved in the abuse actually were. Why is it that Ghislaine Maxwell is the only person right now sitting in a prison? Where about all of the powerful men that abused and raped underage girls? What about the pedophiles that are walking the streets of the United States of America with no accountability to the survivors, to the abuse that happened? And we don't care how rich they are, positions of power that they have to be held accountable. So we want to ask Ms. Maxwell the tough questions and understand, by the way, which we do, that she absolutely wants a pardon from Donald Trump. We get that is probably at the center of her desire, but the questions need to be asked.
And Donald Trump was asked about that yesterday by Caitlin Collins from CNN. She asked him if he was thinking about a pardon, and he said he would have to, quote, look into it. But at the end of the day, while the shutdown and this fight for American healthcare continues to dominate the story as it should, the Epstein story is not going away. Trump and this administration can try to outrun the news and try to outrun accountability for it, but it's not going to work. There is too much focus and too much bipartisan interest in getting the truth on this for it to go away. So they better buckle up. That's it for me today. If you liked what you saw, throw a like on this video, follow the Dem Wins Media YouTube channel, follow me at buildingthebench.substack.com, and we will keep bringing you the news as you need to see it. Thanks for watching.